Civilizations do not collapse when they are weakest. They collapse when leaders still believe they have time. That is the pattern. Not panic, not chaos, delay. And by the time the delay is visible, it's usually irreversible. Welcome back to English with Bruce. Earlier this year, we examined structural pressure inside societies, rising inequality, elite competition, institutional strain. These forces do not cause immediate breakdown. They reduce flexibility. They narrow margins. They slow response. And everything can still look stable. That's the danger. In the end of everything, Victor Davis Hanson studies societies that were not fading. They were erased. Athens, the Western Roman Empire, the Aztecs. These were organized and experienced systems. They did not fall from ignorance. They fell because leadership overestimated its room to maneuver. Negotiations came too late. Reforms moved too slowly. Threats were underestimated for too long. By the time urgency matched reality, implementation capacity had already eroded. The destruction looked sudden. The exhaustion was decades old. Paul Cooper, in Fall of Civilizations, shows a pattern of connection. Long before visible collapse, legitimacy weakens. Easter Island, the late Bronze Age world, the Mayan lowlands. Environmental stress mattered. Fragmentation mattered more. Elites competed instead of coordinating. Institutions protected status instead of adapting. Collective belief in problem solving declined. Life continued, cooperation slowed. When cooperation slows, adaptation slows. Under pressure, vulnerability compounds. Across cases, the sequence is consistent. Warning signals appear. They are rationalized. Reform is delayed. Capacity narrows. Then a shock reveals the system no longer moves fast enough to stabilize itself. Not because the shock was unimaginable, because response speed had already fallen behind structural pressure. In professional environments, no one says, "We are out of time." They say, "We're assessing." They say, "We still have tools." History suggests the most dangerous moment is when those statements are technically true, but practically false. Implementation capacity is not infinite. Timing is not elastic. I am not predicting collapse. I am identifying a recurring risk pattern. Strength is not how powerful a system looks. It's how quickly it recognizes constraints and acts before margins disappear. When pressure builds and response slows, risk increases. Not certainty, risk. History is clear about one point. Collapse rarely begins with catastrophe. It begins when a system becomes too slow to save itself. That's when control shifts quietly from decision to consequence. If you want to understand how the real world actually works, using real global English, subscribe and think with me each week, because history does not reward size. It rewards timing. See you Sunday.